A lot of you are struggling to move forward in the various goals and the different things that you are trying to do. And I find myself having this conversation a lot. I find myself sending this message a lot, and it is about forgiveness. And you'd wonder, what does forgiveness have to do with me achieving my goals? What does forgiveness have to do with weight loss or my marriage or my business or my career or my family life? What happened to me 10 years ago that I don't really talk about anymore? What does that have to do with anything? It has a lot to do with it. You would be surprised what you carry into your next. So as we have just moved into a new year, we just moved into 2024, what can happen is that as one year rolls into another, yes, we make resolutions, yes, we make plans, but we carry the residue of what has happened to us. We carry the residue of how we have or have not processed what has happened to us. We carry the residue of the emotions that come up as a result of what has happened to us. And this forms the expectations that we have for the future. So what happens is, if you have not dealt with a past season of your life, whether it was last year, 5 years ago, or 20 years ago, if you have not dealt with what happened in a past season of your life, what's going to happen is you're taking a piece of that with you into the next thing. And if what you are taking with you does not serve you in the present, or does not serve the future that you are trying to create, you're always going to meet frustration. And this is something that I find a lot of women are not willing to deal with, because sometimes it hurts. It hurts to go through the process, but I want to tell you that it hurts more not to go through the process. It hurts more not to face your pain. It hurts more not to face the issues that arise in your life. You may think that moving on and moving on as quickly as possible is the answer, but very often it is not. Very often, moving on as quickly as possible is exactly what keeps you stuck. It's exactly what keeps you in the very place that you're trying to get out of. I'm not going to come on here and tell you, well, these are the 10 steps that you need to take to get to your goals for 2024. There's a lot more to it than that. There's a whole lot more to it than that. And that's why I created the vision sequence. Things like forgiveness, things like self-esteem, things like past trauma, things like dreams that you just put down and never picked up again because of maybe one thing that someone said or one thing that someone did that caused you to give up, right? All these things, we carry those little bits and pieces with us into our next. So when the next year rolls around and you create that new vision board, the next year rolls around and you make those new resolutions and you set those new goals, and you find like the same issues keep coming up over and over and over again, it's because there are things that you have not dealt with in past seasons of life that need to be dealt with so that you can actually move the needle in the direction where you want to go. And I know that we are emotional, and this is not a stereotype, it's the truth. Women are more driven by emotions, and because we are more driven by emotions, we are more likely to make decisions that are based in those emotions. When we learn to master our emotions, when we learn to let the process produce the patience and the wisdom and the maturity that it can produce when we deal with it in a healthy and mature way, when we do those things, what ends up happening is that we are able to move forward. We are able to move into the next season, and we're able to do it with confidence. We're able to do it with grace, and we are able to do it with wisdom and strategy. All right. So as we are wrapping up the second month of this year, I want to encourage you to take a look back. Take a look back into the last 2 months. How have you navigated January and February? And are you carrying the residue of last year? Are you carrying the residue of the last 5 years, the last 10 years, the last 30 years? And are you ready to really free yourself of that so that you can move forward? And yes, these things do affect you. It absolutely affects you. It absolutely affects your relationships, and it affects every single goal that you set, no matter how small, no matter how big. Because when you want to make progress, you want to make progress from a place that is pure. The progress that you are making is the foundation for the rest of your life. And if parts of that foundation contain places that are broken, right? The unresolved relationship, the conversations that you never had, the issues that you've never dealt with on an internal level. If your foundation contains those things, the higher up you try to build, the more stress you're going to put on that foundation. And that's where we get frustration, we get resentment, we get anger, we get all these different things, we get bitterness. And then that foundation starts to crumble. And maybe you're building well. Maybe you're building well and you're building something beautiful, but what are you building it on? So now is a great time for you to re-examine the foundation that you have set for your life and to determine, is that where you want to go? Do you want to keep building on what you have, or do you want to stop for a minute? And I know that sounds scary because sometimes you're coming out of a relationship, or you're leaving a job, or you're facing the reality of your situation. But understand that there is a reality within your soul as well, and that moving forward outwardly, moving forward into another relationship, moving forward to a new job, moving forward by changing your hair, changing your style, you know how we do, right? Moving forward in that way may feel like you're making progress, but if you are carrying that residue of the past season, trust and believe it's going to show up, and every beautiful thing that you build is gonna come crashing down. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for you. So there's a time where you can actually stop and you can look at the foundation of what you have built, and then you can decide, where are the cracks in this foundation? Where are the breaches in this foundation? Where can I fix? What area do I need to fix before I move on? There's a resource. It's a 1-sheet document, and it allows you to look at 12 areas of your life. It should not take you longer than 5 minutes to do this. But this is something that we often aren't able to look at in black and white. Once you look at this document, it's then going to show you where the areas of most dissatisfaction are in your life and where the areas of the most satisfaction are in your life. Because that's another thing that we don't always look at. We don't look at where we are satisfied, right? So it's important that we look at both. So I'm going to link that in the description below. All you have to do is download it. It's absolutely free. I'm going to also link some other resources. I'm going to link my book. I'm going to link my coaching resources as well if you want to take it a step further. But I really wanted to talk you through this because I believe that this is something that we are not really addressing when we talk about vision boards and we talk about goals and we talk about journaling, we talk about all these different types of things. We really need to look at not only setting the goals, not only having strategy to move forward with our life, but also having strategy to deal with the issues that have gone before. All right, so I hope this helps. Blessings on your journey. I will talk to you very soon. Bye.